Hi everyone, my name is Mr. Brandon from the Erlanger branch of the Canton County Public Library. Today we're going to be talking about how robots can actually be used to help clean up water pollution. So let's go ahead and get started. So what exactly is water pollution? Well, before we talk about water pollution, we have to talk about pollution in general. So pollution is something introduced into the environment that is dirty, unclean, or has a harmful effect. Now, those might be some pretty big words, but basically it's anything that would go into nature or your backyard and would look out of place. So what kinds of pollution are there? Well, there are physical pollutants, which means that they are a physical object that are not where they belong. So a plastic bottle in the ocean or a plastic bag in a river, all of those do not belong. They can also be extremely harmful to wildlife. So, who does water pollution impact? Well, depending on the body of water that we are talking about, it can impact different things. So if we are talking about a large body of water, like the ocean, for example, we can impact larger creatures. So sharks, turtles, whales, and that sort of thing. If we're talking about a smaller body of water, much closer to home, so let's say a river or a lake, will impact some smaller creatures, but it means just as much to them as it does the larger creatures in the ocean. If water pollution gets in their digestive system or their stomachs, it can be very harmful to them. So we want to try and keep as much water pollution out as we can. So what can we as humans do to help? Well, what we're going to be talking about today specifically are different kinds of robots that have been built to try and clean up water pollution in different forms. So let's go ahead and take a look at the water wheel. This is a really cool build that someone made to clean up water pollution from a river. So if you look at the front of the water wheel, you can see this orange area that's surrounded by these little floats. And what that does is when the water pollution floats on top of the water, it actually pulls it into the mouth of the water wheel. And you can see those big rakes on the front of it that keep it in its mouth. And then it pushes it up the pink ramp. And then it puts all that water pollution into a bin at the very back. That bin can actually be removed and then it can be split into recyclables or things that can be thrown away or composted. Now, this is just a drawing, so let's take a look at the real water wheel. This is the real one, and as you can see, someone had some fun and put some big old googly eyes on them. But you can see those parts that we talked about previously are still in this picture. So we can see the orange floats at the front of the water wheel, and we can see the ramp going up into his mouth, and then we can kind of see the bin hiding behind the wheel on the side. But this is just one design for folks that have tried to help clean up water pollution. This is a picture of what it looks like from above. Now, this is pretty drastic. So this river was very, very dirty, but you can see all the water pollution kind of piling in front of it, and you can see those floats are guiding that water pollution into the mouth of the water wheel, and that ramp is pulling it up. Now, that was one design, so I tried to make my own design for a water pollution robot. So mine has two little arms on the front, and it's got a little grinder in the back so it can eat up the water pollution. So let's see how my robot does. So he's off. He's got 1, 2, and he misses that one. But that's okay. The whole point of robotics is that we try and try again. So my first robot did not work all the way, but that's okay. I can try again and give him a different program. Now, this was my first robot, and his program was very, very simple. So as you can see, he goes forward and then turns around, and then he does it again and again. What that looks like on a computer is this. So it's actually very simple steps. So you can see it moves 10 steps at medium speed, and then another 10, and another 10. So it moves 30 steps forward at a medium speed. Then he rotates and does a U-turn, so he will go back. Then he moves 30 more steps forward, and then he does another U-turn. So this water pollution bot is actually meant to go up the river and down the river repeatedly until he runs out of batteries. You'll also notice this blue bar along the side. That's referred to as a loop. And what that does is it causes the robot to repeat the process until it runs out of power. Now, for a small little robot like the one I had on my table, that's fine. But for a much larger robot, we would probably want to get him out of the way before he runs out of batteries. So that would be something that we would have to think a lot more about somewhere down the line. Now, that was my design. If you had to design a water pollution robot, do you think it would have great big arms, or would it be under the water, on top of the water? What do you think it would look like? Why don't you try designing your own water robot and see if you can help? Hope everyone enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.